This is a leak-free zone. Do not discuss them here. Please also refrain from mentioning anything beyond the 3.3 Trailblaze mission as well, so the 3.4 stream is also off limits. Let's keep this a spoiler-free zone for everyone present and future. Thank you. 3.2 and 3.3 gave us a lot to chew on. I'll try to answer the questions in the title. This will sound all over the place, but I'll do my best to thread these needles. The obvious candidates for Emanators are Ligers for erudition, Cyrene for remembrance, and either the Lord Ravager or Finan for destruction. Let's break this down. First, Liger says he bathed in the gaze of erudition, but this doesn't make an Emanator or even a Pathstrider. If it did, Trailblazer would be a 4-timing Emanator. 3.3 Scepter reveal helps here. At the end of Unknowable Domain, we learn a mundane scientist called Patavia used the Scepter system to read Noose's thoughts, but remained a relative nobody until she died, so we can't be sure what kind of Emanator Ligus is. All he cares about is seeing the Amphorius experiment through. That could mean erudition, but his obsession with neutrality could also point to equilibrium. I'm aware I'm splitting hairs though. Erudition does make the most sense, especially if he's a Rupert third candidate. Watch Ashikai's video on Scepters to know more about that. Next, Finan. He's a destruction character, but he has a perfect memory. Not only that, Kefli is also implied to have one, since it's their memories Amphorius is rebuilt from. Fuli and Kefli are also both called Skyfather, implying a connection between them. Putting all this together suggests Kefli and their successors are the Remembrance Emanators, not Cyrene. Though take this with a heap of salt. Kefli's recreations are imperfect. For example, how Nikador lost their reason changes between cycles, and Castris loses her memories of Nias at the start of 3.2. What if Remembrance as a whole is a red herring, and this path is Enigmata instead? Mythos was said to have emerged from Memoria, and Penacony taught us both their Pathstriders can manipulate Memoria, not just Memo Keepers. Perhaps Enigmata emits the same kind of energy as Remembrance, so any readings of the former from Amphorius are registered as the latter. Then there's the obvious fact Mythos is the Aeon of Lies. Faking a signal is probably easy for them. Laladi took this even further than I imagined and suggested Fuli isn't even real to begin with. I'll link to her theory in the description. So this leaves Cyrene with destruction. That sounds ridiculous, but she wears similar wrappings around her arms to Nanook. While the writing is different, Nanook seems to be Inuit script, while hers are flag semaphores, the resemblance is uncanny. While the wound's angle is different, hers is a similar shape to theirs as well. Also, she's based on Elysia, who was meant to be the first wave of a force meant to destroy Earth but chose to side with it. And from the myth angle, Amphorius is named after Amphora, aka Jaws. Pandora's box was in truth a jar which contained all the world's evils. The Lord Ravager being trapped on Amphorius is likely a reference to this myth, so I think Cyrene represents the hope trapped with them. Perhaps she was a follower of destruction who saw it as mercy killing or recycling. We don't know why Nanook destroys things after all. Their MO may be the same as Shiva's from Hinduism, clearing the old to make way for the new. Or she was trapped on Amphorius alongside the real Ravager by mistake. But if Cyrene isn't the Lord Ravager, who is? Just looking at known entities, there are three options. One is Iron Tomb, a Ravager who specializes in destroying technologically advanced worlds. If Amphorius was born from a scepter, it definitely qualifies. And if Iron Tomb was born on Amphorius, it would explain why they're interested in such worlds. Next is Zephyro. Their name is a combination of Zephyr, the West Wind, and Pyro. The West Wind leads to the afterlife and paradise according to Amphorian myth, while Fire fits all the sun and dawn imagery. Zephyro specializes in doomsday scenarios, so a world continually facing them would appeal to them. The only problem is the Heliobi in 1.5 discussed them, implying their location is already known. Finally, I want to bring back a crack theory of mine, that Amphorius is a recreation of Adlevan. I explained my reasoning at the 8-minute 30 section of this video, but Nanook was our first reference to Golden Blood and Star Rail, and we know they ascended after repeated catastrophes hit their planet. Now, Adlevan may just be what others call their planet, which is much better than Earthlings calling Deutschland Germany. Amphorius may be caught in a loop of Nanook's ascension, with the Black Tide being an amalgamation of the Swarm Disaster and the First Emperor's War. The Nameless being here may even parallel Akivili landing on Adlevan before Nanook's ascension, but this leaves two questions. How is Cyrene destruction when Mem is remembrance coded, and how is Finan remembrance when Flame Reaver is destruction coded? Mem looks like Cyrene, has her voice and hobby, but maybe March. Assuming the end of 3.3 isn't set in another spacetime, Mem can't be Cyrene because both are present at once. However, March is very very similar to Elysia. Both are girls associated with pink, who like cute things and are ice-aligned archers. According to 3.2 and 3.3, March's memories are on Amphoria's. At first I thought they were in her camera, which mysteriously filled up in 3.1. That made sense because it meant she'd sort out her surrogate siblings. But Mem also sticks to Trailblazer and gains power from memories. In 3.0 they act like they remember things Trailblazer does. At the time I assumed this was because they were reading their mind, but maybe Mem was processing March's memories instead. But how did March shrink? Remember the final twist of Penacony that everything between the Acheron prologue and final fight was a dream? What if, because Amphoria's time has warped, March's memory entered Amphoria's in a previous cycle? Maybe she took the current Orynyx under her wing, hence them calling for Mother when they see her camera. After all, Mother would miss her friends. Maybe Orynyx's trial had a 1-for-2 deal like Thanatos', or March devolved after expending a lot of power like Ruka Devata and Guoba in Genshin. Also, Damionis immediately turning March into the rosy celestial maiden would make a lot more sense if March really did leave behind such a legend her photos reminded him of, and it would also be very funny. Anyway, remember how Cyrene mentioned fairies in 3.0's flashback? The Amphoria's key art has a sigil resembling Mem, implying they're older than we think. Perhaps Mem was one of those fairies who became an amnesiac after the last reset and copied Cyrene's traits because they liked her. Why would they forget her again? Maybe something happened when Flame Reaver attacked their home. Speaking of, their clone's description screams destruction, and while I think they're an embodiment of the Black Tide, which probably represents that path, this may only be half the story. Remember, Kefli has perfect recall, and this cycle has run for over 4,700 years. Flame Reaver may be an embodiment of the Scepter's literal memory leak, which may explain why their speech is tilted in 3.3, and they keep saying the world needs to be reset. The easiest way to fix a memory leak in a program is to restart it. While Reaver is definitely connected to Finan, Lunabis and Solibus claim Dawnmaker is familiar despite never seeing the Reaver, for example. I don't think they are him. Instead, the similarities may be because both were created in Kefli's image. Perhaps Reaver only knows Mighty's weak point because a previous Nikador had it too, or simply heard Mighty tell Finan about it because they were within earshot of Kefli. And done. Hopefully this wasn't too convoluted. I've written a lot of theories in the Star Rail lore subreddit, but I think these are the key ones from 3.2 and 3.3. I've linked them below if you want to read my full thoughts as well as who inspired them. I swear I got these ideas before Ashikai did. Check the dates and ask her if you don't believe me. One thing I couldn't fit in is a time demigod being a jellyfish in the new DU update. Elysia was associated with sea life, so I think this is either Cyrene or Mem/March. Given Trailblazer isn't in As I've Written, I've long thought Mem is the real time demigod and we're just helping them instead of the implied inverse. If Mem really is a devolved March and tied to Orynyx, this would make sense. Like Castrus dying so Pelixia could be Thanatos, then claiming the role herself. If this is true, it leaves Cyrene free to be the 13th Titan as has long been speculated, which would in turn be another Honkai Impact reference. So is a mascot growing into a known character actually. Who knows, maybe March turned into Mem as a way to survive the cycle reset, or this was a forced transformation like Pelixia becoming a dragon. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. Hopefully this will be out before the 3.4 live stream. To repeat my intro, do not discuss leaks or anything beyond the events of the 3.3 Trailblaze mission in the comments. No talking about future characters, future stories or live streams, nothing. Don't be jerks. Thank you again and have a great day.